This is the beginning of a new astrological era. What astrologers have been talking about for years now is finally here. And you will see yourself and everything around you changing timelines as the spring equinox arrives during eclipse season and during a double retrograde of natal planets, as the past absolutely dissolves into the background. New themes for everyone, regardless of their sign, are here. Keep watching to get the entire scoop on this week's Astro Tea. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Narayana Montufar, and I am here to give you an update regarding the immensely important astrology of the week between March 17th and March 23rd. I gotta tell you that the week is beginning on an intense note. Between Monday and Wednesday until 1:15 p.m. Pacific time, the moon is going to be traveling through Scorpio. This is intense, especially on Monday morning because the moon is going to square Pluto, the planet of transformation, death and rebirth. And Pluto has been doing big things this year. In fact, Pluto has been doing things since 2024, really. But remember, Pluto, and I have a video about that on my YouTube, Pluto changes signs not very often. When Pluto enters a sign, it changes collective themes, it rules epochs. And when we transition, in those years that feature Pluto transitioning are really intense because Pluto shows us the darkness. It is its job, not because Pluto is bad, but because Pluto is the planet that brings everything that lurks below the surface up to be noticed, reviewed, analyzed, fixed, healed, what you can call it, whatever, right? And no one will disagree that we have been seeing a lot of darkness coming into our world. And anyway, so you are going to feel those vibrations on Monday morning. When you wake up, you might wake up feeling moody or just maybe you had intense dreams. This is happening at around 2 a.m. Pacific time. So you are going to feel kind of funky. Expect to feel that. And or maybe you won't, but most of us, when the moon travels through Scorpio, we feel intensely. And if you have any intense planets in Scorpio, like Saturn or Pluto, you're going to feel this the most. And this is a monthly occurrence. And that is how astrology can help you plan ahead. Anyway, when the moon travels through Scorpio, people keep to themselves. A lot of us are moody or we just can't pinpoint what is happening. Scorpio fixates on something that is what Scorpio energy does. So you might be really focused. That's the highest vibration of of the moon in Scorpio, being really focused on a project or on a situation, maybe a relationship, because Venus comes into the picture. So maybe you're dealing with relationship changes. Remember, we have Venus and Mercury retrograde. We spoke about this last week. And these planets are the fact that Venus and Mercury are retrograde means that our reality is shifting, our reality is changing. There's a lot up for review. Our relationships, our relationship to money, pleasure, all of that is shifting in a major way. Then we have Mercury retrograde as well in Aries. Um, so a lot is like on hold. You might be feeling really intensely like, what am I doing in my life? Like, I can sense a shift, but you might still be feeling a little stuck, right? Scorpio is a fixed sign. Well, change is coming very soon, right? The moon moves into Sagittarius at around 1:17 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, and the mood kind of lightens. The moon likes to be in Sagittarius. It's a better sign for it. And so there's a little bit more optimism coming your way. But Wednesday also features, and you're going to be feeling this all week, so maybe since Sunday. We have the sun meeting Neptune. The sun merges with Neptune only once a year, like in a conjunction. So it's like the sun taking this plunge into the ocean with Neptune. This is massive because Neptune is also going to change signs this year. It's going to be entering Aries for some months, leaving Aries, and then it's going to re-enter Aries in 2026. So we have yet another cycle beginning on top of Pluto's cycle. So you see, there's so much movement in our lives right now. And I'm hoping that this is going to help you validate these feelings. We're also in eclipse season. So there are still like a lot of endings, a lot of beginnings, shifts, accelerated change. It's a lot of accelerated change all at once. So hold on to your seat, but also practice self-care and love yourself. The Sun conjunction with Neptune on Wednesday, that will be active before even this week begins. It's an energy of dissolution. Neptune dissolves. That's its job. It's like this fumigating type of energy. So some things are getting dissolved. The past is getting dissolved. The old ways, the old formulas, the relationships that no longer work, they're getting dissolved. Because the sun is going to also be reborn the very next day. We have the spring equinox arriving on Thursday at around 2 a.m. Pacific time, and this is huge. The spring equinox on any given year is the beginning of the astrological cycle, when the sun passes through 0 degrees of Aries between the last degree, 29 degrees of Pisces, and the 0 degree of Aries. That is like this infusion into solar energy. The sun is the star of our solar system. It is an energy of creation, of creativity. This is when astrologers celebrate spring, the beginning of the astrological year. So it is incredibly important in astrology. It is our new year. This is when we plant seeds of intention, not on January 1st. It is now. This is the moment in which basically we're saying hello to a new year. The sun is exalted in Aries. This means that over the next 4 weeks, starting Thursday, the sun, which is energy of creativity, vitality, leadership, shine, and light, is going to be at its strongest in the entire year. This means that you can harness that energy to begin new things, to inject energy to old things. This is awesome. And keep in mind, nothing from the old world is going to work though. As you begin new things, as you launch new projects, or begin relationships or anything that you're doing right now and that is naturally developing, most likely, we're in between eclipses, so the change is accelerated. But nothing of the old world is going to work. And I'll tell you why. This spring equinox, it's like no other. Why? Because this point that I'm explaining to you, the 0 degrees of Aries, normally gets transited by three planets on any given year, which is the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, right? Venus and Mercury are always following the Sun, so that happens every single year. But this year, because Venus and Mercury are going, they already passed it once, but they're going to go retrograde over it, passing it a second time, and they're going to go over it again once they go direct. So this point is supercharged this year, even like I would say 10 times more supercharged than any year. The sun is passing through it this week. Eventually, Neptune passes over this place in the sky on March 30th, and then Saturn does that later in 2025. So, what this means is that we have a total of 5 astrological influences activating one of the most important places in the sky. This is it. This is the new astrological era you've been hearing about over and over and over in astrology podcasts, in astrology forecasts, basically everywhere where you follow astrology and when astrologers have said the beginning of a new era, this is it. It is something that has been, in my opinion, um, kind of starting to form since 2020. We had that great conjunction in Aquarius, but this feels to me like a massively important moment when everything, all the change actually gets cemented as things are left behind and new themes are coming in collectively and personally. We also have Venus during its retrograde phase. Venus is retrograde since March 1st all the way to April 12th. Venus has this beautiful connection to Pluto in Aquarius, which is the planet that has been welcoming into this new era, right? Welcoming new themes, everything that's AI, technology, anything that's futuristic, revolutionary, collective community, and all of that, that is Pluto in Aquarius. No one will deny that those themes are very highlighted currently in our lives. Well, Venus is going to send this beautiful kiss to Pluto on Friday. And I like this. Even though Venus is retrograde, it is showing you how to adapt. It is showing you how to make this massive shift. It is showing you new ways and it is buying you some time. I personally don't buy to really negative thinking about retrogrades. I like them. I use them and they allow us to adapt. Without retrogrades, all of this change would be so disturbing. Retrogrades slow us down so we can have time to change, so we can have time to adapt. Well, this beautiful connection between retrograde Venus and Pluto on Friday is going to help you do exactly that. Of course, we have a confusing aspect that night too, which is like the moon squaring Neptune. But it is a fantastic time to meditate, to figure out what in your life is going away and or it probably already went away. But remember, we have a very important eclipse next week. Next week is super important in the sky. It's super, super, we're living on unprecedented times, and this and next week are some of the most potent of the entire astrology of this year. So I invite you to observe what is being dissolved in your life and let it go, because the spring equinox, Neptune in Aries, and then later on, Saturn in Aries, Uranus in Gemini, like there's so much new energy coming in that new things are going to develop for every single zodiac sign. The moon enters Capricorn on Saturday and it stays there during Sunday, of course. So this weekend, we're in a serious mood. We are figuring out what are we doing with our lives? What is happening? All this change. The moon is gonna bring the quarter moon phase because we're in between, we had the full moon last week, the blood moon lunar eclipse. We have a new moon solar eclipse next week. So this quarter moon on Saturday is like, it's a little bit of like a freezing moment. The moon in Capricorn sometimes freezes us because it brings the energy of Saturn. It's like a cold energy, which is like, oh my gosh, there's so much change. How am I going to be able to adapt? And Capricorn is a traditional sign. Capricorn is going to say, stay with the old, stay with tradition, stay with the known formulas. They're tested, they work. No, they don't. They don't. They will not anymore. So this is your cue to maybe processing the past. That is what I would focus on Saturday and Sunday. The moon's going to oppose Mars retrograde. Mars retrograde has been an incredible force in our lives since October of 2024. We're at the end of our Mars retrograde transformation in April. So we are still processing the past, even though things are moving fast and there's so much uh, change and endings and beginnings and how it's hard to catch up. This weekend will help you do that. Focus on processing the past, focus on figuring out what you're leaving behind because regardless of your zodiac sign, you're leaving something behind right now. Something has dissolved, it has gone into the ether, or is in that process. And what I really like about Saturday is that we have a Venus Cassimi. So we are halfway through the retrograde of Venus. So even though we have been reevaluating our relationship to pleasure, money, possessions, what do we value the most? At the end of the day, the retrograde of Venus is about shifting what you value the most. We're getting insight into that. This Cassimi is happening at 6:07 p.m. Pacific time. And it's going to tell you, it's going to give you information around what's happening with a specific relationship, perhaps how your finances are shifting, or maybe how the way you make your money is shifting, and how that changes the way that you approach work and career and all of those things. It is a serious weekend. It's not necessarily one of those weekends to like, woo-hoo. We're in eclipse season. As a friendly reminder, eclipses are times to surrender. You can't control things during eclipse season. You can observe things. During eclipse season, we take care of our bodies. We spend time alone. We meditate more than usual. Or maybe praying if you feel like that is something that calms you, that makes you feel connected. Because next week we have some massive shifts in the sky. Next week we're going to talk about the retrograde of Venus moving into Pisces and how that affects love. I kind of love that actually. We're going to talk about the new moon solar eclipse, which is the last one in Aries that we will experience for many, many, many years. And we're going to talk about Neptune in Aries, which is a massive shift and one of the shifts that is leading the way into the new era. Thank you for watching. If you would like to get a reading with me, I do Akashic readings, astrology readings, astrocartography readings, and even Egyptian cosmology readings. I am also the author of two books, Moon Signs, Unlock Your Inner Luminary Power, and my second book, Written in Your Stars, is available for pre-order. And I am giving away all these goodies to anyone that pre-orders that book. That book is about becoming acquainted with your relationship with each one of the planets, how you co-create your reality with them, and what are the major transformations that you are experiencing right now according to your age. Thank you for being here, and I will talk to you soon. Bye bye.